In my home, we didn't have a lot of money, so there will be times that there's no electricity as well. And I'll just be sitting there crying, like looking out the window and crying, because I just didn't know, I didn't know what to do anymore. I didn't know how to navigate life anymore. And I just felt a deep sense, particularly for me, I remember just feeling like a deep sense of wanting to be loved. Yeah. Wanting somebody to come and save the day, wanting somebody to tell me that it'll be okay amidst like all the chaos. Yeah. So that was dark, and it was hard. It was hard to even like go back to school. It was hard to get better, because when you're in that place and everything around you tells you the same thing, you kind of just feel like giving up. I grew up very close to my mom's sisters because, I don't have any siblings, so they were the ones that sort of raised me as well. So they were really worried about me. Yeah, they're always checking in on me, but at the same time, like I'd gone to such a point where they knew they couldn't control me either. And so they just had to sit back and try and reach out to me and try and love me through all that as well. Yeah. I was really glad that my aunts were there for me, because I felt like they knew the whole story, and I didn't feel judged by them. And so when they reached out to me, it was at least a space that I could have where I could really just share what I was going through. And at that time, it was really, really helpful for me to have people who I knew who loved me and who cared for me. My close family saw like a lot of marks on my hands. Yeah, it wasn't very I want to say it wasn't very severe, but like thinking back, it was really quite a mess. I think they knew what a bad state I was in, so they would try and persuade me not to do it. They would tell me that it's dangerous, one day you could like cut a point and actually die. At that time, if you asked me what the issue was, I would point to all these like external things, but deep down, I needed to know that my life mattered to somebody. Yeah, deep down I needed to know that like all this pain that I've gone through matters to someone. Yeah. I didn't love myself. Yeah. I didn't see any value in myself at all. I just thought like I made a mess of my life, and life has been really, really hard, and I just want out. So I was hanging out at my aunt's house. She said there was this friend from, I think, Africa, who's coming to like teach and share. She said, can you just come and like sit in, since you have nothing to do anyway? So I said, yeah, sure. So I wore like my long sleeves because, I don't want the guests to see like this mess. So the turning point, and this is really like freaky and out of this world, right? But the turning point for me came when she looked at me basically in the middle of her sharing and said like, you've got the spirit of death on you. And I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, what do you mean? I also felt like it was a bit like straightforward. Like, what's the spirit of death? And doesn't sound great, right? It sounds like a freaking grim reaper, like hovering behind me. So I was like, oh man, I didn't even know how to respond to her. And my aunt straight away goes like, I didn't tell her anything, And she then said to me like, God loves you and He wants to heal you. She said one of the most difficult things that I've ever heard, and she asked if I would be willing to forgive my parents. Yeah. And that was really, really tough for me. Yeah, I was like, what do I have to do? But something in me like clicked when she said that. Something in me like wanted to shouted a big yes, because I knew that I started to understand, like, in that moment, like, all this pain is really rooted in that unforgiveness, in that bitterness, and that hurt that I'm holding against my parents. And I knew that it was eating me up. And so when she's just made it so straightforward and simple, I said, okay. I remember holding my hands up like that, and I could see them in front of me, but I couldn't feel my hands anymore. And I was wondering, like, what is going on? Because I can't feel my hands, I can't move my hands. But I cried so hard. I just cried and cried and cried when it reached a point in my heart where I had to make the decision to forgive my parents. But at the same time, I just felt this like overwhelming, like love just like come over me. Yeah. And I knelt there in that house with this guest, and I just felt like this overwhelming love over my life and over like all the pain that I've gone through. Yeah, and I felt like that there could be somebody who loves me and who had seen me go through all this. And for the first time in my life, I just felt that weight just lift off me. Yeah, and so that was really quite a turning point for me. I did not expect that at all. Yeah, and I didn't know what to do next. Yeah, but that really shook my world.